Revenge films.
During college, I had a friend called Olivia. She was a hard worker all throughout college, and even after began her job, her boss liked that hard-working attitude and suggested an arranged marriage for her. The man he brought up, Kevin, is a successor to a company, a small one, with roughly a few dozen employees. Why was Olivia appointed to become a new company president's wife? It seemed like the company was run by Kevin's family, and this wife had to be a skilled hard worker. That's why the offer went out to Olivia. The arranged meeting went well, and Olivia was liked by Kevin's parents as well. A year went by after the arrangement, and the two had their wedding. Because Kevin's father was the president at the time, apparently they had a lot of guests at the wedding. I was invited too, and it was a grand party. Kevin and Olivia went on their honeymoon the day after their wedding, but they got a divorce when they came back. They technically didn't get married yet, so I guess they just broke off the engagement. The story was, on the day of their wedding, Kevin's ex-girlfriend Emma barged into the wedding room and pleaded to him.
I couldn't get over you. I love you. Don't marry a girl that's not me.
But you were with another guy!
That's not... Your parents never accepted me as family, and I became so sad that I couldn't be with you. And so...
But why now?
Please, don't get married. Let's try to work things out again, the two of us.
Apparently, Kevin's friends that were at the scene took her out to calm things down. But I guess he got swooned right then and there. On the first day of their honeymoon, when they settled down at the hotel in the evening, Kevin told Olivia,
I still love my ex. I can't marry you.
What Olivia said was that he acted like he was a victim of an unwanted marriage, and that really pissed her off. She thought to herself,
at least tell me that before the trip.
But she was past the point of being angry and called the hotel desk to change to another room. Kevin said,
You were trying to be nice, weren't you? But you don't have to use another room. My heart's with my ex, so it's not like I'm gonna do something to you. Plus, it's a waste of money trying to reserve another room.
Listening to this stupid remark made her feel like she just wanted to stab him there. But she pushed them down and said,
It's okay. Your ex will be worried, right? It's fine.
And paid for her own room. The honeymoon was overseas, and it was a package tour. It was a hassle to return home midway, and it was a country Olivia wanted to visit for the longest time. So she just sucked it up and enjoyed the stay there. She also befriended another tourist group, 2 girls of around the same age, and joined them for most of the trip. Kevin, on the other hand, said,
It's not fun going on vacation with someone I don't even like.
And stayed cooped up in the hotel, calling and texting Emma 24/7. The moment he returned home, Kevin told his parents,
I want to get back with my ex, so I can't marry Olivia.
Obviously, his parents were furious. Actually, before Olivia had the wedding, Kevin had introduced his Emma to his parents, telling them that he wanted to marry her. But seeing how she acted and talked, his parents felt something was off about her. As they secretly searched for her background, they found out she was a player and was extreme with how she spent her money. They showed the proof and found Kevin and convinced him that
she isn't fit for marriage. Give up. That's from the past. She's a changed woman now. And she says I'm the only one she loves. I know it's hard, but I want you to believe me.
His parents weren't convinced. And all while Kevin was working hard to convince his parents, the ex in question was out having another affair. At least Kevin seemed to be angry this time and broke up with her. In the end, Olivia broke ties with Kevin, and his parents paid her a large sum of consolation money. Kevin never gave up, and no matter how much his parents disagreed,
I'm definitely gonna marry Emma,
is what he continued to say. Half a year later, his parents finally gave in and took Emma in as their own daughter-in-law. A few years later, when my child began attending kindergarten, I noticed a mother that was sort of being left out of our mom circle. It wasn't like the other moms were openly ignoring her or bullying her or anything, but people were deliberately leaving her out. I asked one of the moms I befriended, and she answered, "Oh, her? It's a rumor, but apparently she broke into her ex's wedding and stole him away." What? She stole the groom? Well, that was a story that rang a bell, so I asked for more information. Lo and behold, it was Emma, currently Kevin's wife. And the rumors were more extra, like she had many abortions. She prank called his former fiancée, Olivia, and even stalked her, so the police had to take her away. Her husband, Kevin, was a part of the whole plan and was leaking Olivia's information to her. She broke into the wedding and seriously injured the bride, and so forth on. I don't know about the whole abortion and police part of the story, but I haven't heard anything from Olivia about receiving prank calls or having stalker problems. She's never gotten attacked either. I mean, the wedding itself went smoothly, so it's scary to think how rumors spread. Anyway, because of these rumors, people just vaguely avoided her, saying, "Don't bring us into any trouble." I've spoken to Emma before, but she naturally puts others down as she speaks. So I guess that's how she got isolated and the rumors were left to escalate. Well, I mean, the stolen marriage thing is true. And to think she showed up even when she wasn't even invited, and then telling him,
Don't marry this bride!
the rumors are true to some extent. Plus, to saying the engagement was canceled just a few days after the wedding. We won't be returning the gift money. The groom will be marrying his former partner. That's unacceptable, isn't it? Olivia properly returned all the gift money she had received on the side, but Kevin was like,
Well, the guests ate and drank all they wanted at the reception party, and also got gifts when they left. We have no reason to give the money back.
His parents tried to convince him to do so, but he didn't comply. Kevin's dad had invited a lot of guests from his work relationships, and because his company had close ties with the local community, so I can imagine this whole incident must have affected his company greatly. Emma is apparently working as the president's wife and supporting Kevin's work as the new company president, but it seems business is deteriorating. Emma shows up at the office but technically does nothing, and the other employees are pointing fingers and saying things like,
Useless.
"Such a waste of space," behind her back. Moreover, because of her bad habits with money, people soon found out she was stealing money from the company to fill her wallet. Of course, nobody in the company was supportive of her, but Kevin continued to cover for her. Soon enough, employees began to turn their resignation notices, and the company is on the verge of crashing down. By the way, after ending the whole relationship with Kevin, Olivia married another man a year later. Because her husband's home was a prefecture away, we aren't able to meet up like we used to. But we still go out to eat every few months to catch up. Olivia's husband is an ordinary office worker, and she says,
People might think it's a common life, nothing special about it. But to be able to spend happy times with my family, that's what matters.
And she looks really happy with her life. I'm so glad she didn't marry this ridiculous Kevin dude in the end. Olivia knew about Kevin's current state. She scoffed.
Well, I guess that's all he had. I was stupid too, not to have noticed that about him.
Most people forget their childhood memories as they grow older. But we tend to remember fun holidays or, in contrast, terrible events that took place. For me, the memory I have with my father is one of those things that I won't forget. When I was a child, my own father kidnapped me. My parents were already divorced at the time, and I was in elementary school. My father was abusive, which was why my mother left him. Whenever something bothered my father, he took it out on my mom. At first, he didn't physically abuse her, but soon he started to hit her. My mom didn't want me to find out the truth about my father, so whenever she sensed that his temper was rising, she would tell me to go to my room. When I got to my bedroom on the second floor, I would hear my father yelling at my mother. So when I found out that my parents were going to get divorced, I was relieved. After my parents got divorced, I lived with my mom. In order to gain custody of me, my mother had to work all day. She had a day job and another job at night. As a result, I would be home alone until around 8 p.m. for several nights out of the week. But I was happy that we no longer had to live with my violent father, so being home alone was not a problem for me. My mom said to me, "I'm sorry to have to leave you at home all by yourself." But for me, having a peaceful life with my mom was what made me happy. I knew that my mom was busy, so I helped out with the household chores. My mom was busy, but when we were home together, she would listen to my stories intently. She also made an effort to attend all my school events. I didn't feel that I was unlucky in any way. One day, on my way home from school, my father opened his car window and began talking to me. I was scared to see my father, but he said to me in tears,
"I'm going over to your house now to apologize to your mother."
I was still a child, and it was the first time that I had seen my father crying, so I believed what he told me. And so I got in the car with him. I realized that the car was heading in the opposite direction as my house.
Where are we going?
My father ignored me.
I want to go home.
He continued to ignore me. My father continued to drive the car in silence. His face was very frightening. I regretted getting in the car with my father, but it was too late. I had no idea where he was taking me. I wanted to think of a way to get my father to stop driving.
I need to go to the bathroom. Please stop the car.
But he wouldn't listen to me. I was more and more afraid by the minute as I had no clue as to where my father was taking me. What if he locks me up somewhere so that I won't be able to see my mother ever again? What if he hits me like he did my mother? I imagined all sorts of terrifying things that he could do to me. My father continued to drive the car with the windows firmly shut. After 2 hours had passed, my father stopped at a rest stop to go to the bathroom. I considered running away while he used the bathroom, but he grabbed me by the arm and took me to the bathroom with him. A man that was in the bathroom before us looked at me strangely. He then said,
"Your daughter needs to use the women's restroom."
At that moment, my father loosened his grip, so I ran away. I ran as quickly as I could to the women's restroom. It was the weekend, and the rest stop was very busy. The women's restroom was also very crowded.
Please help me. Help.
I cried out to the people waiting their turn to use the bathroom. One of the women then called the police. I stayed in the women's restroom until the police officers arrived. I didn't want to risk being taken by my father again. When the police officers arrived, I explained to them that my parents were divorced and that I lived with my mother. I also said that my own father kidnapped me on that day. I told them that my father was still at the rest stop. I went out of the restroom with the police officers, and my father was arrested on the spot. The police officers got in touch with my mom, and they drove me home. My mom was at work at the time, and she was devastated when she found out that my father had kidnapped me. She cried tears of relief when she saw that I was safe. I never saw my father after that incident, but he stalked me for about 5 years after that. Once I became a high school student, my father's stalking stopped. I didn't understand why he suddenly stopped, and it kind of intimidated me. I wasn't sure if he would start stalking me again, and I feared not knowing. It was 10 years since the last time that my father had stalked me, and my fear had gone away. I then received a phone call from my father's mother. She was calling about my inheritance. I wanted to understand where my father stood in all this. I then found out when my father's stalking had stopped. It was a stupid reason. He stopped because I was now taller than him. I was tall for my age, and I expected to grow a little more in the years to come. He only wanted to be with me when I was small and cute. When I found out about this, my fear for my father turned into disgust. My grandmother assured me that my father wouldn't be bothering me anymore. I wish I had found out sooner. I told my grandmother that I wasn't interested in inheriting anything from my father's side. I suddenly felt very tired, and the weight of the worry was lifted off my shoulders. I was traumatized for years over the fact that my own father had kidnapped me. Anytime I saw the same type of car that my father used when he kidnapped me, I was shaken. I was distressed about not knowing whether my father would try to kidnap me again. I had no idea that he had kidnapped me for such a horrifying reason. But after some time, I began to see the light. If I hadn't grown to be taller than my father by now, he would have still been stalking me. I was comforted by the fact that my father was so simple-minded. My mom probably realized that my father had a creepy side to him and wanted to protect me from him. I felt sad and grateful towards my mother. I don't think I can ask my mother about what really happened with my father, but I was sure that she had done everything in her power to protect me from my evil father. My mother felt even more precious to me knowing this. Now that I'm older, so is my mother. That's why I'm going to be the one taking care of her now. My mother and I continued to live together happily. We also heard some news about my father. It turns out that my father was arrested for trying to kidnap a little girl from a kindergarten. When he kidnapped me, the police let him off easy because I was his actual daughter. But this time, he went to prison. The parents of the little girl that my father had tried to kidnap wanted my father to pay for his crime in prison rather than settle the issue with money. I think that what they asked for was very reasonable. I'm also happy that my father got the punishment that he so deserved. My mom and I were right. He was creepy. It would be better for everyone if he stays locked up. Luckily, my father was arrested before he could do any real harm. If the little girl had been kidnapped, she would have been traumatized for many years, just like me. I don't wish that upon anyone, and I want my father to spend the rest of his life in jail.
Maybe it's not as bad as others, but I've had one of the biggest blowouts myself. My name is Noah Williams. I'm 32 years old and an office worker. One summer, a year ago, I came home to find my wife, Emma, and the kids gone, and only a note left for me saying, "I wish you all the best with her." I had no idea what it meant, and I was like, "What? What's she talking about?" I was so upset that I called my wife, but her phone wasn't turned on. And when I called my in-laws and siblings-in-law, they said she wasn't there. I knew some of my wife's friends, but I didn't know how to contact them. I searched the neighborhood, and when I got home, I found my sister-in-law and her husband, concerned, at my house. My sister-in-law found my wife's friend's address from a New Year's card, and she allowed me to go to her house at midnight. My wife's friend, who understood what was going on, emailed other friends, and they all helped me locate my wife.
It's almost midnight, so let's just go home and let them call us when they know where she is, okay?
My sister-in-law urged me to go home, but I couldn't sleep well. Why would my wife think that? We were getting along normally until this morning. Why? I kept thinking about the reasons that came to mind. And then I received a call from a friend of my wife in the morning, saying she got a call from Emma. I called right after her, and my wife answered. "You've got it all wrong. I never did anything to betray you or our children. Anyway, I want you to come home." When I said that, she just blurted out that I was a liar and hung up on me. I took that day off from work and was looking around for her again when I got a text from my wife. "I'll listen to your excuses one last time, so I'll be waiting for you at the restaurant near our house at 7 p.m. Now I can finally talk about this. I can clear my name." I felt a little calmer with that thought, but when I got to the meeting place, I found my wife with a blank expression on her face, the kids calling me, and one other person, my brother's ex-wife.
It's been a while, Noah. I can't believe you came here.
Huh? What are you doing here? I was wondering why she was here, and then my brother's ex-wife strode over and stood in front of me and vigorously struck me in the face. Ow! I held my cheeks and looked at my brother's ex-wife, and she turned her hateful eyes on me as she walked out of the restaurant with the kids. A huge noise echoed through the restaurant, and I ended up talking to my wife in a different location because of the people looking at us. What did you mean by that letter?
It's exactly what it means. You're having an affair, aren't you?
My wife still thinks I'm cheating on her? I didn't have an affair. What made you think that? When I asked her that, she asked me back.
Do you remember what you were doing that day in February this year?
February? That's 6 months ago. I couldn't remember anything when she suddenly asked me what happened 6 months ago, and I grunted and thought about it, but I still couldn't come up with anything. "I'm sorry, I don't know." When I replied, she said,
I was out with my kids that day, and they were saying that was you, and I looked to the side and saw you hugging a woman I didn't know. If that's not cheating, what is? You met her on the days you said you were going out with friends, right? You lied to me the whole time and you didn't think anything of it, did you?
She said a lot of other things, crying. Huh? I was hugging? Oh! And that's when I finally remembered what happened on that certain day in February. In fact, it was my day off, and I was at home slumbering with my children when I got a text from a woman who was a temporary worker at the same company.
Mr. Williams, do you have a few minutes to talk?
Sorry, I'm spending time with my family right now. So if it's okay with you, we can talk about it at work on Monday?
I can't really talk about it at the office. I don't want anyone to hear.
She said it in a kind of distressed manner, so I decided to go to the place she suggested, just for a little while. I, of course, asked my wife if I could go out. After that, we went to a cafe for about an hour of relationship advice. And when I said I had to leave soon, she told me to stay a little longer. We went to the park next door, and even though it wasn't Valentine's Day, she gave me chocolate, told me she loved me, and she hugged me.
I've always loved you. Please go out with me.
It seems I was unlucky enough to be seen by my wife when it happened. She cried, so I just stood there for a while. But I didn't hold her. After that, thanks for the sentiment, but my wife and kids are my life's purpose, and I'm not interested in anyone else. I'm sorry. I said that and left. Incidentally, I found out that the chocolate she gave me wasn't obligatory, so I told her right then and there that I couldn't accept it and gave it back. Apparently, my wife suffered alone for a long time that day. My brother's ex-wife told her my brother and his wife divorced because of adultery, so she thought I was the same after all. However, since I was a good father at home and the marriage wasn't bad, she was willing to pretend she didn't see anything and just bear with it. But it got harder and harder, and in July, she talked to my brother's ex-wife, who had had the same experience.
That's how men are. The men in the Williams family have infidelity in their blood. They're womanizers, and if you stay with them, you'll just be miserable. It's better for you and your children to get divorced quickly.
Apparently, his wife was told so by my brother's ex-wife. After that, she ran away from home for the time being, and that was the whole story. For the record, the fact that my brother and his ex-wife divorced because of adultery was a misunderstanding, or rather, an assumption on the part of the ex-wife. My brother's ex-wife's parents divorced because of adultery, and my brother's ex-wife, who had a terrible aversion to cheating and adultery, immediately became possessive of my brother after they got married. Every day when he arrived at work, he was forced to inform her that he'd just arrived at the company. And before leaving, he had to tell her that he was on his way home. On days when he worked overtime, he had to send a picture every 30 minutes to prove he was in the office. On weekends, he was banned from making contact with anyone outside of his family and relatives. Going out to drink was allowed as part of entertainment and socializing, but one day she discovered that there was a woman at a drinking party among his colleagues in the company.
Cheater! You trash! These 2 years of marriage were a waste! Does that woman have a death wish? Give me the password to your cell phone and show it to me now! Hey! Answer me!
He was abused, punched, and had his hair pulled for 5 hours. My brother has been through all of this, and he and his ex-wife divorced by mutual consent. My brother's ex-wife went around claiming that it was only because of my brother's infidelity, but there was not a shred of evidence of infidelity. And furthermore, my brother immediately went to get a medical certificate after the beating, so he was able to separate from his ex-wife because of her violence.
He deserved to be hit for cheating on me!
Still, my brother's ex-wife persisted, and even a year after the divorce, she still resented my brother and my family, calling us a nasty family. I told my wife about this.
I can't believe she was like that.
My wife was skeptical at first, but eventually she understood. I didn't tell my wife the details of the cause of my brother's divorce, because it was a private matter. My wife was good friends with my brother's ex-wife, so she believed what she heard from her, which was the reason things got worse this time, and I felt responsible for it. After this, my brother's ex-wife was contacted by my brother. If you spread any more rumors about me and get anyone else involved, I'll make you regret it. I still have the medical report over here, so be thankful I'm not filing a damage report to the cops. My brother gave her a stern warning and she became quiet. Also, the temp woman who came to me for advice, 6 months after she told me her feelings for me, she told another married male employee and had a relationship with him, which was discovered by others, and they got into a lot of trouble. The male employee got a divorce, alimony, and a transfer to a lower position. The temp woman was also ordered to pay alimony, but since she was a contract employee, she was easily fired and ran away without paying alimony. And I don't know what her intentions were, but I heard that the temp woman was hitting on other married male employees. Women like that who make their living stirring up people's families are really common, aren't they? The whole company was buzzing about that woman for a while. After that, I felt bad for my wife, who was distressed because of my stupidity in giving advice to that temp woman. I'm sorry. I was an idiot. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for giving me another chance. I apologized and thanked my wife for believing in me.
Not at all. I should have asked you directly before worrying alone or asking others for advice. I knew you cared about our family, and I'm sorry I doubted you about it.
Since then, we've been getting along well as a couple and as a family.
My name is Tom. I became a technician after graduating from a technical school. When I first joined the company, there were many things I didn't understand, and I made a lot of mistakes. Thanks to my colleagues' help, I learned a lot and I'm able to train new employees now. One day, the nephew of the managing director joined the company. He always tried to boss around other people, especially the subcontractors. Before meeting him, we thought a guy like that only existed in dramas and movies. For example, he said to a salesperson who came to our company, "Are you hungry? You want to make sales? Here!" Then threw the contract down to the salesperson. He would constantly brag. "I got into a prestigious high school and a prestigious university on my first try. Studying was so easy for me. Unlike you idiots who could only work like ants, I've never experienced failures in my life." He disrespected and bullied other employees like it was nothing. His ego was through the roof. Everyone hated dealing with him. Finally, something terrible happened that jeopardized the company's future. It happened during a meeting with Mr. Youssef, a contractor we had previously done business with. The nephew suddenly said, "I heard you graduated from MU, Mr. Youssef." MU is a private Tier 2 university. "Why do you think you can work with our company when you only graduated from MU? Don't you think that's a little disrespectful to us?" Of course, the most disrespectful person was the nephew himself. The company had been doing business with Mr. Youssef long before the nephew came, and Mr. Youssef was very good at what he did. So I couldn't help but say to the nephew, "Mr. Youssef has been doing the job very well. I don't think university matters here." But the nephew let out a big sigh while shaking his head and said, "It's presumptuous of you, a technical school graduate, to talk about university." He's 5 years younger than me, and our company is a manufacturer with high technical requirements. What I said probably agitated him. He added, "How can an MU graduate possibly understand the making of our products? And you! How did you even get your work when you don't understand what you're dealing with? Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" He continued to insult me. Mr. Youssef, who had been sitting at the conference table quietly, suddenly said, "I think I understand the production well enough. Feel free to ask me if you have any doubts. I'll try to explain to you and make improvements if needed." "Well enough, huh? I'm not sure what you mean by well enough," the nephew sneered. "Then, can you explain the principle of the S part used in our products?" Mr. Youssef explained it perfectly. "Then what about this?" the nephew asked. Again, Mr. Youssef answered with flying colors. I knew Mr. Youssef was not the kind of person who would flaunt his knowledge. But I was truly amazed by how well he knew about production. I was thinking to myself, wow, that's why it's done this way. The chief inspector at the meeting was even taking notes. "You seem to have some knowledge. You must have studied hard. Good for you." The nephew clapped his hands, threw the order form on the floor, and said, "Here, take it." Everyone in the room froze, and Mr. Yamada didn't move from his seat. "Pick it up! It's a treat for you, you poorly educated piece of..." the nephew said to Mr. Youssef arrogantly. Mr. Youssef still didn't move and stared at the glass ashtray on the table. No one ever used it in our company, but they put it on the table anyway. The nephew said, "What are you staring at that ashtray for? Do you want to smoke? What are you thinking in your poorly educated head?" "No, I was just thinking how good it feels to hit your head with it," he said with a disparaging smile. Everyone was surprised to hear Mr. Youssef, a long-term partner of our company, say those terrifying words. The nephew, who would have yelled back under normal circumstances, was shocked too. "No, I was just kidding. There's no need to take it so seriously," he stuttered. I thought the meeting would continue, but it didn't. "I was kidding too. Don't worry, I'm not that savage." The nephew looked relieved when Mr. Youssef said that. He picked up the paper from the floor and handed it to Mr. Yamada. "Well, I look forward to working with you again." Then he laughed. "I wish I could say the same. But I've decided to stop doing business with your company." "What?" "Huh? You don't understand. I said I will no longer do business with your company." "What? You can't just suddenly decide to stop doing business with us!" "Even though you wish to get back at me. It's unnecessary to say something like that, isn't it?" "See? I might consider letting it slide this time if you apologize. Otherwise, I'll let your boss know exactly what you just said. We can keep doing business if you apologize. Now!" "Huh? You didn't know? I'm the boss." "What?" "I am the president. The former director decided to retire about a month ago due to health reasons. So I become my company's new director. And then, since it's a small company, I was also appointed as president. I came to greet your company president, but I guess he didn't tell you." "No one told me about this!" Everyone in the conference room was shocked too. "Well, it's supposed to be official next month. Maybe your company president was going to tell you later. But it doesn't matter now. We have no intention to continue doing business with your company. That means I don't need to apologize to you anymore, do I?" After saying that, Mr. Youssef ripped up the order form right before our eyes and said, "Goodbye." Then he left the meeting room. "Oh my God! Look what you've done! Our company will go under if we stop doing business with Mr. Youssef!" All the employees in the meeting room were shocked by what just happened. Mr. Youssef's company has been working with our company for many years and has helped improve many of our products. They've also been providing us with products indispensable to our technological development. If they end our business relationship and stop supplying products to us, our company will for sure suffer tremendous losses. But the nephew still wouldn't drop his conceited attitude. He said, "We don't need to do business with such a small company. Everything's gonna be fine if we buy from other companies." Of course, this didn't happen. Our production line stopped immediately after the deal went south. The company president and the managing director, the nephew's uncle, immediately went to see Mr. Youssef and apologize. Mr. Youssef said, "What's the point of apologizing if he, the nephew, is not here?" and kicked them out. But the nephew refused to apologize, so the business relationship was completely over. After that, the nephew still worked as an executive at the company. I realized the company wouldn't be around much longer, so I submitted my resignation letter. Many other employees also started to leave the company. After losing its competitive advantage, the company soon started to head for bankruptcy. But the nephew continued to disrespect other business partners. So the company went bankrupt in no time. The company later sued the nephew for damages. I heard he has to pay the company a large amount of money. The nephew may be smart and have graduated from one of the top universities, but because of his ego, all he could think about was how great he was. And since he got his job through personal connections, no one pointed it out when he made mistakes. He never had the chance to adjust to the work environment. If he had been more aware of his surroundings and acted accordingly, he probably wouldn't end up like this. After quitting, some of my colleagues from my previous company and I found new jobs at the new company Mr. Youssef started recently. I'm Tom. I was watching television a while back and saw a program about a guy who got married to a complete stranger unknowingly. The man came home one day and found a woman inside his home. The woman greeted him as if she were his wife. The man had no idea who the woman was, and scared, he went to check the records of the town hall. He was shocked to find out that the marriage between him and the strange woman was recorded in the registry. He found out later that the woman was a stalker, and she had planned this all on her own. The man made a plea for annulment and got the court to rule the marriage as being invalid. The tale frightened me, but I assumed that it was something that I would never have to deal with. I didn't even think that it was possible for something like that to happen. But to my shock and horror, something very similar happened to me. I got married to Lena 4 years ago. We met on a dating app and we got along really well. Before we got married, I was really busy with work and would have to go on a lot of overseas business trips. After we introduced our families to each other, we got ready for our wedding. Lena planned to leave her job at the town hall in a couple of months so that she could become a devoted housewife. Lena's from a small town, so news of our marriage spread fast. But some of the things being said about our marriage did not make sense. People were saying that she was getting married to Ted instead of me. Ted was someone that came into the town hall from time to time to work on repairs. It was weird because it's not like they dated each other in the past. One day, Lena was working at the town hall when Ted's mother came in. She told me later that it struck her as strange that Ted's mother was observing her for a long time from a distance. Lena found that particular incident bizarre, in addition to the rumors going around about her getting married to Ted. She texted me to tell me about what had happened. At the time, I was on an overseas business trip. That was the first time that I had heard about Ted and told Lena not to worry too much. But for some reason, Ted's mom was spreading rumors about Lena marrying her son, and Lena was creeped out. She texted me again to say that she was concerned. After receiving her text message, I told her that it might be a good idea to confront Ted's mother by bringing her father along. Following day, Ted visited the town hall, got down on one knee, and proposed to Lena out of the blue.
Lena, will you marry me? I'll make you happy for the rest of your life.
Of course, Lena declined.
I'm sorry, but I'm already engaged to someone else. I don't understand what brought this on. Also, please don't spread rumors about us getting married.
What? You're engaged to someone else? I've already made the arrangements for a wedding. You cheater!
Ted then began to cry. Lena had no idea what was going on and also started to cry out of shock. Lena's manager at the town hall came to her rescue and asked Ted to leave the premises. After the incident, Lena called her parents. Her father and Lena's manager at work agreed to go to Ted's house to ask him to stop spreading false rumors. I hoped that this would resolve the matter for good. Lena's manager got in touch with Ted and told him that he would be coming over to Ted's house with Lena's father.
Ted is not home. What is this regarding?
I would like your son to stop spreading false rumors about him and my daughter Lena. My daughter is engaged to someone else, and we would like for you to leave her alone.
Ted told me that he and Lena are dating. He even bought her an engagement ring.
Lena's father didn't understand why Ted's mother could not see the truth. He then mentioned to Ted's mother that Lena was engaged to me, and we were already making plans for our wedding.
That can't be true. Lena's not here to back this up. And I believe everything that my son has told me.
Lena's father and Lena's manager couldn't get Ted's mother to listen, so they gave up and went home. That evening, Lena and her father suggested that we involve my father, and that the three of them should visit Ted's house once again. My father was a rebel when he was younger, and he's still very scary. I feared that telling him about this would make him ballistic. I didn't want to make things more complicated than they already were, so I decided to cut my business trip short and come home to deal with the issue myself. I had difficulty booking a flight home and had to take 4 connecting flights. It took a total of 40 hours to get home, and I was exhausted. As I was making my way home, Ted and his mother came to the town hall to see Lena. Lena's manager stood next to her in support, but the two of them could not stop the absurdity of Ted and his mother.
Lena, why would you cheat on my beloved Ted?
I planned a special wedding for us at your favorite amusement park.
We will forgive you if you apologize to Ted now.
My mom is willing to forgive you. Apologize to me now, and we can put this behind us. Promise me that you won't cheat on me again!
Lena was horrified. Her manager demanded that Ted and his mother leave the building right away. He then suggested that Lena take some time off and stay with her parents in order to remain safe. I was finally back home, and Lena and I met with my parents and hers. I had to go back to my business trip once things were sorted out, so I wanted to come up with an effective plan. Our parents suggested that the best way forward was to get married as soon as possible. So Lena and I got married the following day. We then arranged a meeting with Ted. The next day, we all gathered at Ted's workplace to resolve the issue once and for all. I showed Ted our marriage certificate and told him that we would sue him if he harassed Lena any longer. We also told him that Lena would like an official apology from him for all the false information he had spread about her. I had expected Ted and his mother to refute me, but instead, Ted sat there in silence and accepted our demands. However, he had no intention of apologizing to Lena.
I won't put up a fight this time, but I know that deep down Lena loves me. She always looks at me with her kind eyes.
He was referring to the time Lena showed him how to get a document from the town hall.
I can see it in her eyes that she loves me truly. I only wanted to make her happy.
According to Lena, Ted had asked her if she was married out of the blue when he visited the town hall. Ted was saying these things to us as if he really believed that Lena was in love with him. We're asking you to apologize to Lena. You scared her with your delusions.
I told you that I wouldn't put up a fight. Can't we just leave it at that?
You have no right to put up a fight in the first place. You should acknowledge the fact that you spread false rumors about my wife. Ted then glared at me. I was furious with his insanity. But then Ted's manager at work got angry on my behalf.
If you don't want me to fire you on the spot, you better apologize to Lena and her husband.
Manager then pushed Ted to the floor.
I promise that Ted will not be bothering you anymore. Ted, don't think that you can get away with something this bad without any consequences. I think you need to pay a damage settlement for their troubles.
I don't have any money, but please take this instead.
He tried to pay us off by giving us the engagement ring he had bought for Lena. I was livid. I wanted to throw the ring back in Ted's face, but before I could, Ted's manager threw Ted into the air.
This ring cost me $10,000!
That's irrelevant!
I figured that Ted was absolutely bonkers, so I said to him, we won't be needing any money from you, but make sure that you never talk or come close to my wife again. I thanked Ted's manager for his support and left the room. Lena and I went to the town hall after the meeting and was greeted by the mayor. The mayor wanted to show everyone publicly that he recognized Lena and I to be legally married. Because we live in a small town, if everyone in town hall knows that we are married, the rest of the people in town will too. Now we can live together happily without worrying about false rumors going around. At the same time, everyone in town found out about Ted's peculiar behavior, and Ted and his family had no choice but to stay locked up in their house. Lena and I had our wedding and we moved overseas. I'm happy that we are now living far away from Ted and can have a happy life without worrying about running into him.
My name is Jane Bright. 3 months ago, I started living with my son, Joshua, and his wife, Karen. They got married half a year ago. The house is under my name, and it's only been a few years since we renovated it. After my husband quickly passed from leukemia, I was left with this huge house with 0 loans left to pay. It was Karen who came up to me and suggested we live together, but when I tell her, "Can you organize the trash? All that's left is her trash. Can you clean up the laundry? All that's left is her laundry and my son's laundry. Can you clean up the bathtub?" Either her or Joshua are the last ones to bathe. She would always click her tongue at me, do the task begrudgingly, or ignore my favors. Most of the time, she would straight up just not do the tasks at all. So one day, when we just started living together, I told her in a strong tone, "Can you please take out the trash?"
Ma'am, did you know? People call that bride bullying out there.
Is what she said back to me. I'm still working too. And even though we came up with a schedule to balance out our chores, I've never seen her do them so far. For example, we have 2 bathrooms, one on the ground floor and one on the second floor. I would clean the one on the ground floor because I mainly use this one, and I asked Karen and Joshua to take care of the second floor bathroom. And after leaving that for a month, something started to smell in the upstairs bathroom. When I opened the lid, splats of grossness were just left there, and everything was all very disgusting. Even though the house was still new, this bathroom alone was a total nightmare. The cleaning supplies I prepared for her, they were never used. Because the house is a 2-story, 6 LDK house, Karen took the south-facing corner room on the second floor to herself. Joshua likes to keep things tidy and clean, so he vacuums his room once a week. But Karen's room is a mess. She never opens her window, let alone her curtains. Because her room is in the corner part of the house, the room itself has a lot of windows. In order to ventilate the entire house, I need her to open those windows, but whenever I try to go in her room, she yells back. I mean, no one can walk through her room in the first place because it's overflowed with cardboard boxes. I honestly want to kick her out. But we found out that she has a student loan of $5 million under the name of a scholarship after their marriage. And because she hadn't paid any of it yet, the interests are at ridiculous high rates right now. It seems like Joshua is using up his savings and salary to pay for her loans. And he says that if I kick them out, they won't be able to live. When I went over to her family's place, telling them we never heard anything about her financial situation, they replied,
We sent our precious daughter to a single-parent household like yours. You should be grateful. This doesn't happen every day, you know.
Exactly. I mean, it's normal to support your newfound family, isn't it? They were so rude. It made me furious. In the end, I told her, Joshua will be away on a business trip for a week. So, within that week, if I don't see any improvements, I'll call the garbage collectors to clean out your room. Am I clear? This was my final warning. I couldn't bear to watch my husband's house get wrecked by his daughter-in-law anymore. My husband and I plan to use this house to take care of his parents and live together until the very end. That's why this house was designed to be completely barrier-free and was a bit unique. After the loss of my husband, I was overwhelmed with sadness and once thought of selling the house away, but was told that these types of homes aren't popular. The house was on the verge of being sold at a ridiculously low price. I then thought to myself, it would be a waste to sell what my husband left for me. And it's only been half a year since my husband passed. Even if I were to sell the house, I still needed more time for my grieving process. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was from Joshua, who was away on a business trip.
I heard from Karen. You've been bullying her while I'm away?
He said, There's no way I would do that. You know that I work all day. How am I supposed to find time to bully her?
That's what I thought at first. I kept telling her there's no way Mom would do something like that, and asked her to try to deal with it. But she said enough is enough. Ma, what did you do to her?
I was exasperated. I called Karen out of her room and told her, if you claim that I'm bullying you and you can't take it anymore, I won't stop you, so just leave this house. And I told her because she's lived with her family this whole time. Try spending time with just the two of you. I'm sure you'll understand the hardships then. The moment I said that, she shouted,
How mean! I'm the one who's been taking care of you this whole time, and now you're kicking me out? You're the one who should be leaving!
And started crying. Joshua, hearing this whole conversation on the phone, heard her crying and instantly changed sides.
She's exactly right, Ma. It was thanks to her that you were able to go out to work during the day, right? This home is functioning properly thanks to her. That's why you should leave, Ma.
Sorry to break up your misunderstandings, but this is my house in the first place. This little Miss Karen never steps out of her room. But I'm fit enough to work as a nurse even though I'm already 50? You forgot all this in 3 months? I can understand that Joshua might be stressed out after taking care of Karen's student loans, but I never expected him to be this stupid when he's already 26 years old. Well, even if I say get out of the house, I know that takes time. I also have my day job to take care of, so I can't do stuff behind Karen's back when she's at home lazing about. I was genuinely curious about what she was up to while I was out working. I mean, it wasn't like the laundry was done, the dishes washed, or the bath prepared. The other day, I was on the late shift, so I was at home until lunchtime. Karen left the house at 10ish and came back a few hours later. Later on, I found a coupon from a restaurant where you could have a nice lunch for $15. So at least I know where she's been. I felt a bit bad, but I asked my eldest daughter, Olivia, to come back home, since she shifted to a work-from-home schedule because of COVID. She was surprised to hear this story too. Getting straight to the point, this daughter-in-law was lying about being pregnant this whole time. Joshua, having returned from his business trip, yelled,
Look, Karen's pregnant!
at me. Olivia then retorted,
Pregnant? Since when? When is the baby due?
and demanded for the details. We found out something was wrong. First of all, we asked her when the expected date of birth.
Next winterish? What? It's in the middle of summer right now. Next winter?
So you mean 16 months later? We asked.
Yeah, that's normal, isn't it?
She asked back. Listen, usually we say a child is 10 months, 10 days. It's often said that once you're pregnant, you'll give birth at roughly that same time, I explained to her in an exasperated tone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know, actually, I'm not pregnant anymore. I kind of forgot about all that.
She said.
What? You're not pregnant?
Karen was the most surprised. We asked her what she meant by that.
I lost it.
She said. When I asked her when she was pregnant in the first place, she just asked Joshua to marry her, telling him she got pregnant, but never told him about the miscarriage. After half a year of being married, I asked her if she never told him about the spontaneous abortion. She answered it was awkward to tell him because it was right after she had told him about the pregnancy. Joshua visited the Obgyn with her just once. But after that, he was told that the appointments were on weekdays, so he couldn't go with her anymore. There were other things that made no sense. And as Olivia, Joshua, and I presented for more information, she made a painful excuse that the pregnancy was just her imagination. She'd even told Joshua that she would talk to me about her pregnancy at her own timing, and tied his tongue. I asked him, "You were with her all this time and you never noticed?" He said,
Her stomach started growing recently. I never questioned it. I thought the child was growing at a steady pace.
He said, "Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Eating like a queen and lazing around for 3 months sounds about right." I tried to be nice about it and told him, "The stomach you think is a child is just fat," in an indirect way. He was very disappointed. Soon Joshua told Karen,
I don't want to see your face. Get out!
but I added, "That goes the same for you. But before that, move your butt and clean the second floor." That was my final verdict to them. I got Karen to get her stuff and asked Olivia to drive her to the closest station. Joshua, dripping with sweat, snot, and tears, finally cleaned the upstairs bathroom and moved on to the forbidden room, aka Karen room, that apparently he wasn't allowed into as well. He opened the door and, surprise! He fell to his knees crying as Olivia scoffed, "Useless." I got him to pack and leave the house too. The two soon divorced, by the way. Joshua tried to sue Karen's family all by himself, but he didn't want to pay for a lawyer for his alleged pregnancy scam. He wanted to get them to pay for damages, but of course they wouldn't listen. In the end, he never got any money back, even the amount he paid for her student loans. He ended up having to cry himself to sleep because he lost big time in many ways. but honestly, I couldn't care less. I'm embarrassed to call him my son. I've never thought he could be this stupid. My name is Olivia Banks. I had a friend who loves to hop in to join parties and drinking nights. A girl called Karen. One day, Karen came over to me asking if I was going to do this one party. I have no idea how she knew about this, though.
Hey, Olivia, is it true that there's a party coming up and you're going?
Yeah.
I want to go too. Is it all right with you?
Huh? I mean, I think it's fine, but I don't think you know anyone from this friend group. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, of course. I'm not the shy type, and I love making new friends.
Okay then, you wanna join?
Totes!
Okay then, I'll let my friend who's hosting the party know. I contacted the host right after that. Ah, Emma. I have a friend who wants to join the party coming up. Is that okay with you? The host, Emma, is in the same college society as mine, and we've been good friends since freshman year. Sure, I don't mind. Who is it? It's Karen. Do you know her? Karen? It rings a bell. Where did I hear her name? Maybe someone brought it up in a conversation? Yeah, maybe. Anyway, understood with the extra member. Thanks! But the day of the party, Karen never showed up at the venue even past the starting time. I texted her to check if everything was alright, but she never read my message. The food was getting cold, so we just started the party without her. And over an hour later, Karen finally arrived at the venue.
I'm so sorry, Olivia. I had urgent stuff I had to take care of, and I'm so late.
No, it's fine. But it's already pretty rowdy here. Are you sure you're comfortable with this?
It's totally okay.
Just like she had said before, Karen quickly befriended everyone at the party and joined in on the conversation. I was relieved at the sight and enjoyed my party experience with my friends too. However, as we were all getting ready to leave, I realized Karen was having some sort of trouble with Emma. What's the matter? Is everything okay?
Just listen, Olivia. This party host is horrible.
What? I looked over to see Emma's expression. She was pulling a very confused and worried face. Emma's an earnest, hard-working person, and I've never heard anyone call her horrible before. Hey, look. I'm not sure what's going on, but I think it's a misunderstanding. What happened?
This girl, she's telling me to pay for the party fees.
Huh? She's telling me to pay for the party fees? For a moment, I had no idea what on earth Karen was talking about. If you're coming over to a party to eat and drink, it's normal to pay the fees. Hey, everyone done their part to pay for what they ate and drank. I think it's perfectly normal to do so.
I came in late and barely ate or drank anything. Why do I need to pay? It's totes wrong.
You were late for your own personal reasons, right? Sure, the amounts that each person eats and drinks is different, but for the party fees, we all pay the same amount equally. Isn't that how it works?
That's crazy.
It seemed like Karen didn't realize how ridiculous her remarks were, but she kept yelling at me. I heard from Emma too that she said she had told Karen that she didn't even need to pay the full price because she came in late. Even after that, Karen still refused to pay. It's obvious that Karen's in the wrong here, right?
Got it? I won't be paid.
And then she just stormed off. The ones left, Emma and I, slowly looked at each other. The next moment, Emma cried out, "I just remembered! She's the one everyone's gossiping about." What gossip? Yeah, whenever someone hosts a party, she shows up late and uses that as an excuse to not pay. Actually? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I had no idea. It's fine, I just remembered it too. But Karen, I swear she's doing that on purpose. Since I really never talked to her before, I checked her seats from time to time to make sure everything was okay. But she was eating and drinking like a queen the whole time. I swear she came in late today on purpose too. gosh, I feel so bad. Here, I'll pay for Karen's part. What? No, you don't have to do that. I'll pay. It's fine. I promise I'll make her pay back later anyways. Like that, I paid Emma the party fee Karen was supposed to pay. Later on, I tried calling Karen, but she never picked up. She never replied to my texts too. I know she's been reading them. But I wasn't expecting this sort of behavior. So I decided to take action. Since she was in the center of all these rumors, I was sure there were other people who went through the same thing. So first things first, I looked around for people who experienced Karen damages. When I asked around campus, I was surprised to find so many more people than what I initially expected. I told them my plan, and they were all happy to cooperate. When everything was set up, I made my move and contacted Karen. Hey, Karen, there's a party coming up. You want to join?
What? Party? Totes!
Despite never having responded to my text about the last party, she quickly caught on to this bait. Actually, I made sure people didn't let Karen into any of their parties or gatherings during these past few weeks. So even when she wanted to crash into someone's party, there was no space for her. The party's this weekend. Is that cool with you?
Weekend? Yeah, totes cool with that. When's the time?
5:30 p.m. It's pretty early, but does that work?
I don't make it exactly on time, but maybe past 6. I totes go no matter what. So sign me up.
Got it. The prices are all set. I let everyone in the party group know, and all we had to do was wait for the day to arrive. The day the party, Karen showed up at the venue at 6:40. I made sure she went into the reserved venue first and followed her after that. Karen looked surprised to see me arrive at the venue after her.
What's going on? Why is no one here?
Sorry. It looks like everyone's running late.
Huh? How many people are coming today?
I'm sure it was like 10-something people.
And everyone is coming in late?
Karen seemed really surprised, but I quickly changed subjects. Let's put that aside. I'm so hungry. I heard this place has this limited time menu of skewered dishes.
What? Really?
Soon, the other members showed up, and it turned into this usual party scene. Karen seemed to forget the order people came in, and was genuinely enjoying the party. It was time to leave, and just as always, Karen swiftly stood from her seat and tried to leave without paying. But before she could do anything, Emma stood up and asked, "Payments, please."
What? Why me? I came in late today. Why should I pay for anything?
I was waiting for her to say that. What are you talking about? You were the first person to arrive. Everyone else came in late, remember? Karen gasped and turned very pale. Remember what you told me the other time? I came in late, so I don't need to pay. You really didn't pay a single cent. So everyone, including me who came in late, we don't need to pay, right?
What's that?
Don't go on and say that's not fair. It's what you've done to everyone here.
What? What do you mean?
You really don't recognize the people here today? They're all people who hosted the parties that you joined and didn't pay for the fees. Karen looked around, and as soon as she remembered their faces, looked shocked and bewildered.
But I can't pay for everyone here.
Sure, that's valid, but instead, I want you to pay up all the fees you never paid.
What? All the fees?
You showed up to all these parties and never paid on purpose, right? Or do you want to pay for all of us here right now? Or we could call the police on you, you know that?
I'll pay.
Karen paid for her meal this evening and also promised to pay back the fees she never paid for. Well, I didn't really mean to make her pay for everything. That would make us seem the same as her. As for Karen, because she's been to so many parties, the amount she had to pay had blown up to the point she couldn't pay everything back with just her own money. She put her hands on the money that was set aside for her second semester tuition, and her parents quickly found out. Soon after that, I heard she dropped out of college. Right before she quit, her parents, having known what had happened, paid everyone back in her stead. Everyone was finally relieved and happy that the money had returned. To think that someone can mess up the rest of their lives just because of some college party. I honestly think it's ridiculous, but I guess she deserved it.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.